In the late 1970s, Western intelligence analysts stared in disbelief as satellite images revealed something unexpected on Soviet airfields. This wasn't the bulky, brute force kind of jet they were used to seeing from Russia. This was sleek, aerodynamic, and menacing. NATO would soon call it the MiG-29 Fulcrum, and from the very beginning, whispers spread through Western air bases. The Soviets had built a fighter that could rival America's best. By that time, the Cold War skies were already dominated by new American legends. The F-15 Eagle had set the standard for air superiority, while the F-16 Fighting Falcon introduced agility and precision like never before. The Soviets, watching closely, knew they needed an answer. What they produced wasn't just a response, it was a challenge, a direct message to the West that Moscow was not about to be outclassed in the skies. When the MiG-29 finally appeared at air shows in the early 1980s, Western pilots couldn't believe their eyes. This wasn't just another Soviet design meant to overwhelm with numbers. It was sleek, deadly, and agile in ways that seemed almost impossible. Some whispered that it could match an F-16 in a dogfight. Others feared it might even outmaneuver the mighty Eagle itself. The Cold War's balance of air power suddenly felt uncertain. But what made the MiG-29 so terrifying wasn't just its speed or its agility, it was its weapons. The Fulcrum carried the R-73 missile, a heat-seeking weapon that paired with a revolutionary helmet-mounted sight. Western pilots had never faced anything like it. Suddenly, air combat wasn't about pointing the nose of your jet at the enemy. A MiG-29 pilot could simply look at you and fire. For NATO, this was a nightmare scenario. From the first moment it entered service, the MiG-29 was more than a jet. It was a statement, a symbol of Soviet engineering and determination. NATO, caught off guard, had to rethink everything it thought it knew about air superiority. And for the pilots who would eventually go head-to-head with the Fulcrum, one thing became clear. This was no ordinary fighter. This was Russia's dogfighting legend, the machine that truly shocked NATO. The MiG-29's story begins in the early 1970s, when the US unveiled the F-15 Eagle, a fighter that seemed untouchable. For Soviet planners, this was a wake-up call. The F-15 could fly higher, faster, and fight farther than anything in their arsenal. Moscow quickly realized that it needed not just one fighter, but two, a heavyweight interceptor and a lighter frontline fighter. The result was the Su-27 and the MiG-29. The Mikoyan Design Bureau was tasked with creating the lighter counterpart to the Su-27. The goal was ambitious: build a frontline fighter that could operate close to the battlefield, take off from rough airstrips, and still hold its own in aerial combat. The Soviets wanted a jet that could engage NATO fighters head-to-head, especially the F-16. This mission gave birth to the design philosophy behind the aircraft that would soon be known as the Fulcrum. From the beginning, engineers prioritized agility and maneuverability. The MiG-29's twin Klimov RD-33 engines gave it immense thrust, while its blended wing body design allowed extreme control even at low speeds. Soviet designers wanted a jet that could survive the chaotic, close-range dogfights expected in a European battlefield. The Fulcrum wasn't built to chase bombers over long distances like the MiG-31. It was built to get into the fight quickly and dominate it. Introduced officially in 1982, the MiG-29 was a shock to Western observers. At air shows, its agility stunned audiences. Pilots demonstrated maneuvers so aggressive that NATO officials began to worry. But the real secret weapon was inside the cockpit. Unlike Western fighters of the time, the Fulcrum featured a helmet-mounted sight system. Paired with the short-range R-73 missile, this allowed pilots to simply look at an enemy and fire, changing the rules of close-range combat forever. Western intelligence got its first real taste of the MiG-29 after the Cold War. When East and West Germany reunified in 1990, the Luftwaffe inherited dozens of Fulcrums. Suddenly, NATO had access to a machine it once feared from a distance. Training exercises between MiG-29s and F-16 produced surprising results. NATO pilots admitted the Fulcrum was extremely dangerous in dogfights, with its high maneuverability and deadly missile system giving it a serious advantage up close. Despite its capabilities, the MiG-29 had weaknesses. Its radar was limited, its range was short, and it lacked the advanced avionics of Western jets. In large-scale conflicts like the Gulf War of 1991, Iraqi MiG-29s were shot down by American F-15s and F/A-18s. Not because the Fulcrum was inferior in design, but because it lacked the support networks, AWACS, electronic warfare, and training that Western pilots relied on. Still, the aircraft earned respect. The MiG-29 continued to see combat through the 1990s and 2000s, flying in conflicts across the Middle East, Africa, and the Balkans. In Serbia, MiG-29s rose to defend against NATO bombing raids, but were again outnumbered and outclassed by Western coordination. Yet even when defeated, the Fulcrum maintained its reputation as a tough, maneuverable, and feared fighter. Pilots often said they felt safe in its cockpit, knowing the jet could take punishment and keep flying. Today, the MiG-29 remains in service with over 24 countries. Russia has upgraded many into the MiG-29 SMT and the more advanced MiG-35, featuring modern avionics, precision-guided weapons, and improved radars. While newer fifth-generation fighters like the F-35 and Su-57 now dominate headlines, the Fulcrum still flies as a reminder of Cold War rivalry. More than just a jet, it's a symbol of Soviet engineering and a fighter that once truly shocked NATO. The MiG-29 Fulcrum was never just another Soviet jet. It was a statement of power. Agile, fierce, and unpredictable, it challenged NATO's assumptions and forced Western pilots to rethink air combat. Even decades later, its presence in the skies continues to echo its Cold War legacy. From shocking NATO in the 1980s to flying on modern battlefields today, the MiG-29 has earned its place as a legend. More than an aircraft, it's a symbol of Soviet resilience, proving that sometimes agility and daring design can shake the balance of power in the skies.